partially.
I don't answer them. Answer to God. And 11,000 people that you are a part of, Mr. Alger.
These days.
Oh, here comes Daryl.
Just a joy.
It's a joy. Progress, isn't it? All right, so now that Commissioner Nelson is here safely, we are going to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for our invocation today, Commissioner Flynn.
Thank you. In honor of Pride Month, I'd like to say a few words. As we gather today in service and purpose, we pause to honor the power of authenticity, the strength it takes to be seen, and the beauty found in every spectrum of identity. May we lead with open minds and compassionate hearts, championing dignity, equity, and love, not only this month, but in all the work we do. Let this meeting be guided by courage, inclusion, and truth. Happy Pride.
Thank you, Commissioner Flynn. Bonnie, roll call, if you please.
Andrews?
Here.
Flynn?
Here.
Henschel?
I'm here.
McAllister? Morris? Here. Nelson?
Here.
Spence?
Here.
Walter?
Here.
Seifert?
Here. Fantastic. Imagine Commissioner McAllister stuck in the same wonderful traffic on the other end of our fine county. So I'm looking for an approval of the minutes as presented.
I have a few edits.
All right, Commissioner Andrews.
Thank you. I have a few edits to the May 21st minutes. There were Paul Dio in public comment. It's D-E-Y-O, not Dale.
I'm not ever going to be able to spell people's names right.
That's okay. That's okay.
But thank you, because if they don't spell it,
Yep. And that's something maybe just we can figure out. Rick Venner is V-E-N-N-E-R. Later, where we talk about Cunningham Limp, it's Peplinski, Bobby Peplinski with an E, not an I. On this, that's on page 4. And then in the Central Storage Facility meeting, I don't believe Commissioner Seifert voted with the ayes, the A's, ayes or A's, however you pronounce it. I believe he voted with the nays on the motion to move forward with CSF as designed.
That's correct.
wait, which one, page what?
That's on page 4.
The equalization to the Lafreniere campus?
Move ahead with the Central Storage Facility as designed by consolidating work. It
Yeah.
was defeated, result defeated, mover. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yep.
In the motion to instruct administration to conceptually evaluate, I thought we put a timeline on that motion.
60 days,
No,
No.
30.
30 days?
30 days.
It's not in the motion,
What
in the
page?
minutes.
Bottom of page 4, Bonnie.
Bottom of 4 spanning onto 5.
Thought it was by the end of June, but
It would have been 30 days.
Yeah, I think it was about 30. Maybe it was the
that
end of
wasn't
June.
the
End of
motion,
June is whatever.
a little
I
different.
don't care what it is, whatever the video says it was, but I'm pretty sure there was a timeline. And then last, page 6, the motion to amend the motion to bring forward Mr. Martinez. It's N-U-S, not N-E-Z, for Martinez.
I was really impressed that you got these. details.
N-U-S?
NUS.
N-U-S, Mr. Martinez, not Nez. It's twice in that motion. And with that, I'll move to approve the minutes for May 21st, 2025.
I'll second them.
Question. It just is a matter of detail. What we approve in minutes are the official meeting record. So when we instructed administration to conceptually evaluate moving human resources, and we put a timeline on it, we need to know exactly what we're voting on for that timeline right now. Was it 30 days?
I believe it was end of June. I think Commissioner Walter was correct.
End of June?
I believe it was end of June. We'd give them extra time.
Okay. Is that what the motion is then? To correct it to say end of June?
Correct it to say end of June.
Perfect. I'm good.
Thank you, Commissioner Ansel.
Thank you.
Are we clear as mud, Bonnie?
Paul Deyo, D-E-Y-O,
Correct?
and Rick,
Venner, V-E-N-N-E-R.
okay. And then HR move on page 4, that was
End of June.
end of June, and then add, or change Seifert to a nay on
Yep,
that one.
yep.
Wait, there's 2.
The one that was defeated,
The one that was defeated is the one he's,
it was a nay, not a A.
all right.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, not an A. Or a nay, not an aye. Sorry.
Okay, who made the motion?
Well, and then there was Peplinski, P-E-P, in Cunningham Limb.
Oh, yes,
Bobby?
yes. And then Martinez,
With the-
N-U-S.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion was made by Andrews and seconded by myself.
all righty.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Fantastic. First public comment, Bonnie.
You might have to spell your names. Because I'm gonna guess. Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provisions of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board may state his or her name and township or district. Providing a specific address is not recommended. Persons may address the board on matters or issues which are relevant and germane to county government as determined by the chairperson. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, allow an additional opportunity or time to speak if determined germane and necessary to the discussion. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment may be received during the meeting when a specific agenda topic is scheduled for discussion by the board. Prior to the first public comment, the chairperson will indicate the topics on the agenda for which public comment will be accepted. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson. The board shall not comment or respond to a person who is addressing the board. Silence or non-response from the board should not be interpreted as disinterest or disagreement by the board. Please be respectful and refrain from personal or political attacks.
Thank you, Bonnie. So we're gonna, lots of folks want to speak, try to keep as close to 3 minutes as possible. Just line up behind the podium if you would. If you have not spoke before here, you might want to spell your name if it's outside of common spelling for us. Kate, please go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, Kate Dahlstrom, Long Lake Township. I'm going to basically read probably an email that I sent to all the commissioners last week, and it's in regard to the crisis, the Mental Health Crisis and Access Center sustainability, and the proposed funding allocation from the marijuana tax, the liquor tax, and the opioid settlement money. So I'm asking the commissioners to put a pause on deciding a final allocation, especially the marijuana tax money, since many of us in the community are very concerned about the sustainability of the Mental Health Crisis and Access Center. I'd like you to ask the crisis leadership team to present their sustainability plan for the center. Also, do they have a plan to ask neighboring counties to contribute to sustainability? I'm a member of the Community Advisory Group to the leadership team on the Mental Health Crisis and Access Center, and we have received nothing in the way of that kind of sustainability information. We haven't received, we don't know how much of the $5 million county ARPA money is left for operations. We haven't seen any financial statements to date for the crisis center itself. And we're very concerned, especially with the, the knowledge that federal funding for Medicaid is going to be probably severely cut, at least cut in some way. We also know that due to a number of mismanagement steps by Northern Lakes Community Mental Health over the last 2 years that I could share with anyone, that they have had a setback of at least $5 million, and that's prior to any impact on federal funding. We know also that the crisis leadership team decided to not get the center certified by the state, and not only did this impact current grants that had to be returned, but future payments from Medicaid and private insurance for services will likely be diminished because it is not a certified CSU, Crisis Stabilization Unit. Failure of the center, as you know, is not an option. We'd also like to know, Northern Lakes, so we basically don't want their financial problems to affect the sustainability of the crisis center. And we also know that currently Northern Lakes is providing services to youth. And we know that Munson has a $5 million grant of their own for youth services. Are they reimbursing Northern Lakes for the services that Northern Lakes is providing to youth? I'd like to know that. So I'm asking for $400,000 to be set aside, some permanent annual allocation for the crisis center. I believe you have a moral and ethical responsibility to use those funds accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. Or just what she asked.
Good morning. I'm Tony Stainfield. I live in East Bay. I'm the co-founder before, during, and after incarceration. I'm here today to respectfully urge you to prioritize funding for medical care at the Grand Traverse County Jail. In your allocation of opioid settlement funds, marijuana tax revenue, and alcohol tax revenue. As you are well aware, our local jail population is composed of individuals struggling with mental illness, substance use disorder, and chronic physical condition, particularly among older adults. For many, being incarcerated is the first point of contact with any consistent form of health care. The coming together of opioid addiction, mental health crisis, and aging-related health problems in our jail is not a coincidence. It reflects the failure of our social safety net and the systemic underfunding of behavioral and medical health services in the community. So basically, you are asked to correct not individuals, but the system. You are asked to correct other people's mistakes. For many years now, you have heard me say that jail is a small psychiatric unit, a rehab unit. The jail may be a hospital, but guess what? Nobody recognizes it as such, and no agency is willing to pay for medical services needed by this population, and you know that very well. As soon as someone is incarcerated, even Medicaid benefits are suspended. I do not envy you trying to formulate a budget for 2026. Because you're going to be asked to do more with less. It is a year of financial austerity. And during time of financial austerity, one has to prioritize and discern needs from wants. The medical needs of the incarcerated are a need and needs to be a priority. the opioid settlement funds and the taxes collected from marijuana and alcohol sales were designed to mitigate some of those diagnoses. There is no better use of these resources than to provide direct care to those trapped in the revolving door of incarcerated and untreated illnesses. We have the chance to be a county that leads with compassion and fiscal responsibility. I am in front of you today to advocate the prioritizing medical care in jail is humane, smart, and just, and aligned with the intended use of those public funds. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Tony. Anybody else? Public, excuse me, first public comment, going once, going twice, 3 times. Thank you very much. So I believe we're going to approve the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment,
Yes, sir.
if I may. I would like to add under new business, a request from this board for the Mental Health Crisis Center to give us an update and perhaps their plan for sustainability. Future?
I accept that. Mr. Flynn does as well.
Fantastic. Did you catch that, Bonnie?
Say again?
Under new business, 12A, I would like to ask for the board to formally request the Mental Health Crisis Center to come forward with an update on their operations and a plan of sustainability for the future.
Okay.
The last meeting in July.
Is that a discussion at
Does it-
that point in
yeah.
the agenda, mental health?
I'm just
center
going to ask for a
update?
vote that we ask them formally to come and appear. I'm not really looking to, I want to know what the details are.
Right, I'm just saying for the agenda purposes, that's
Correct.
all we need is to have the discussion at that point.
At or by the end of July?
Well,
We could do by the end of
Discuss that
July,
one.
but I think we're missing the second week, aren't we?
Just adding.
So if I may, we had a leadership meeting yesterday, and we talked about them coming first Wednesday in August to get through the July holiday.
I'm okay with that.
We can discuss it at
Can we
at
discuss that
12A.
at that point on the agenda?
Yes.
Sure.
He was making a motion, I thought.
No, I think he was making a motion to amend the agenda.
That is correct.
Yes.
I'm amending the agenda. We can
Yeah.
talk about it
So
then.
there's a friendly amendment to add item 12A, a discussion of the Mental Health Crisis Center.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I accept that.
All right, so you all set, Bonnie? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Thank you. All right, moving right along, we are going to go into a closed session. So I'm going to make the motion, we go into closed session to consult with an attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with Pace North versus Grand Traverse County, case 23-036677CK, because an open meeting wouldn't have a detrimental financial effect on the litigating or settlement position of the public body as permitted by MCL 15.261E. Do I have a second?
Second. Roll call.
Motion myself. All those in favor say.
Roll call.
Sorry, I heard you. Thanks, Rob. Roll call vote, please. Bonnie?
Flynn?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Spence?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Andrews?
Yes.
Seifert?
Yes. All righty, closed session. Thank you, everyone. Same room as usual?
We're meeting with
Get your arms for your chicken. I've seen those. I'm like, but I'm gonna get them from Chicks because that way. I had a couple of beautiful ones I rehomed. They wouldn't lay.
Mean old hen.
Broken many of them.
Are we all back here?
Yep.
All righty, we're all back. Close. Call this meeting back into session. We had a
Move to come
motion
back
and
into
a-
open session.
There you go.
All in favor?
Yeah, that's right. I'll wait. Here, we have a motion and a second to come back.
Who seconded?
TJ seconded.
Bunch of
Rob.
people.
Rob was the initial motioner. You have a roll call vote?
No, you just,
Just in,
Voice
oh,
vote.
so we got a roll call out but not back in?
right,
That's crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
has to stay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Fantastic work. Thank you, everyone. We're going to do the consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive, number 1, Traverse Area District Library, April 2025 meeting minutes. Number 2, GTCRC meeting minutes, April 24th, 2025. Number 3, is it the Road Commission? Is that what that acronym is? Grand Traverse County Road Commission weekly updates, I'm guessing. Number 4, Grand Traverse Industries thank you letter. Number 5, ARPA status report. B, approvals, GIS project change request. Number 2, services agreement between Grand Traverse County on behalf of the 13th Judicial Circuit Court Family Division and Michigan State University. Number 3, annual renewal of the Child and Adolescent Health Center Grant Agreement Youth Health and Wellness Center. Number 4, annual renewal of the Child and Adolescent Health Center Grant Agreement K-Town Youth Health Center. Number 5, Grand Traverse County Jail Water Heater Replacement. Number 6, ARPA funding reimbursement requests.
Yes, that is the County Road Commission on A3 is what that means. So anybody wants to pull anything? Commissioner Walter.
A5, please.
Okay.
ARPA status report.
Commissioner Andrews.
B2, please.
Anything else? All right, so
Move to approve the consent calendar with the exceptions of A5 and B2.
support. Beautiful. We have a motion by Commissioner Henschel, and support by Commissioner Nelson to approve as presented with removals of A5 and B2. Roll call vote.
Henschel?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Spence?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Andrews?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Seifert?
Yes. Fantastic. There are no special orders of business. We're gonna
Scott,
go-
or
yes,
Chair Seifert, can I?
That's fine.
Actually, Bonnie brought up a good point, and it would be, I think, beneficial for the public especially in the agenda items to just spell out the names of those acronyms, because unless you're in it every day, a lot of people don't know what that means. And so going forward, if we can, the first iteration of the Grand Traverse County Road Commission, for example, spell it out, and then in parentheses what the acronym is, that would be helpful for the public, I think.
As somebody who struggles with that all the time, I think that's a great suggestion. We will make that happen. I think that's great. Thank you. So I kind of feel bad that we didn't decide that earlier. So if there's nothing further, we'll go to items removed from the consent calendar. Let's go with A5.
Thanks. I don't see the people here today, but there are a couple things on there, and I know at this point, it's like if it doesn't get spent, it doesn't get spent. We don't get it back, but there are a couple things on there where there's been no movement on the actual report, and there's a full remaining balance, and including Goodwill. TCAPS is a small one, but it's on there. I mean, there's quite a few, and then East Bay, and then the Munson one in particular, that would be good to add to their discussion, it sounds like, that we're having later. There's some unspent money there. We can add that piece of the discussion. So maybe in the next, within the let's see, we're at the end of the second quarter. By the, let's say by the end of the third quarter, have these folks come back and give us an update on their projects. And let's see, I'm going to just include
Maybe anybody who's not.
anybody who has a remaining balance. How about that?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from them.
There you go. I like
Okay.
that.
Instead of picking and choosing, let's just have anybody who has a remaining balance by the end of the third quarter to give us an update on their plan.
Second.
Sounds good. We have a motion by Commissioner Walters for anybody that has a remaining balance and unspent ARPA money to report by the end of the third quarter of 2025. We have a second by Commissioner Andrews. Commissioner Nelson.
We haven't specified what kind of update would you want. Would you accept a letter from the organization as opposed to a update in the meeting?
I'd love somebody from the organization to come in person so we can hear more about their project, what's happening. We'll have some questions for them. And they have, 4 months to do that. So I would think somebody could come to one of our meetings.
I would offer a friendly amendment if the money is spent by the time of the end of the third quarter. Do they need to still come?
No.
There you go. Thank you. So can we have, you ready, Bonnie? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Thank you, everyone. Going on to B2.
A motion to
Receive and file.
Oh, I'm sorry, my
A5.
apologies. I'll second that. We have a motion by Commissioner Flynn to receive and file, seconded by Seifert. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, thank you. Now, on to B2.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. This is a service agreement that the 13th Circuit Court executes with MSU for MSU professor and their students to do some analytical information related to juveniles in our legal system here in the 13th Circuit Court. The scope of work is on page 9 of 12, and it specifies a little more specifically what type of information the team, the MSU student and PhD team will provide. And my questions are simply, is this a renewal of an existing contract, and how do we get that information in front of this board? I see you.
Board Administrator. Yes, so this is a renewal. We had it last year.
So then we can get last year's data.
We can, it's not great because it's just 1 year's worth, but we do have a PowerPoint with data.
It would be very helpful to see, considering, did we pay $30,000 for the PowerPoint last year? Okay.
A little bit less, it was 28.
It would be helpful to get that, and
Okay.
just so that we can understand. I think the information itself, especially as we're embarking, we have had a perpetual line of conversation about juvenile needs in our community, and to the extent we're paying what appears to me a fair amount of money to have somebody crunching the data and looking at us,
Yes.
I think we would be very interested in seeing that
I
information.
just forwarded it to myself, so I could give it to you if I needed to. So do you want me to email that to?
Yeah, it might be the kind of thing, if you can, if it can be shared with the board, but it might be a receive and file for a future meeting in an agenda item, so that, and then if that triggers more questions, we can deal with
Yeah,
that
send-
that way.
If I may, send that to Nate, and we can talk about agenda setting, and we can go from there, and we might reach out for somebody to lead us through the report.
Sure, happy to do so.
And with
Thank you.
that, I'll make the motion to approve the renewal contract with the MSU as presented,
13th
Support.
Circuit Court.
13th Circuit Court.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Anders, receive and file, and seconded by Commissioner Henshaw. All those in favor say aye.
It's approved and
Aye.
receive and
It's
file.
approval, it's a roll call vote. Thanks, Rob.
Doesn't that be, it can be a voice vote.
It's going to be approved.
Approval, not a receive and file. That's what I was
All
pointing
right, so approved. So all
All-
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. You either got to talk louder, Rob, or whisper quieter.
out. I'm sorry, I said
I'm
aye.
just teasing. Yeah, it's fine. So moving right along. So we're going to go to departmental items. Department of Veteran Affairs Annual Report. I saw Michael here earlier. We appreciate that. Thank you.
I didn't realize, this is on, right? Yeah. I didn't realize that the PowerPoint was being shared today, but that's good. Thank you for having me here. I put this annual report not just for my department or you, but public, so anytime people can look on our website or come to our office in the waiting area, there's copies of these, so people have an idea of what impact we've had over the last year. It's just some highlights of stuff throughout the whole thing. That is like a copy. It's a PDF. You're only seeing a portion of it. That goes through some of the things we've done in the office. So the things I really like to highlight, go back one, is the impact of, let me move this here so everybody can see it. There we go. The impact of our work in the office when it comes to assisting veterans and their dependents filing claims for VA benefits. This amount here is for just the awards that were done in 2024. And that amount changes obviously every year depending on the amount of clients, changes in VA law. I'm sure, I'm going to assume everybody's heard of stuff like the PACT Act or Blue Water Navy veterans or, Agent Orange exposure. I mean, we still have people come in. I talked to someone this last week. Her veteran husband died earlier this month. And she said, I had no idea about him being exposed to Agent Orange, and his death was related to that. He had never filed for anything. He didn't know anything about that stuff. And we were able to help her and get her benefits that will go for the rest of her life. So the impact is really far and deep reaching of what we do. So this is just the annual amount of last year. Let me find you. There we go. This is the other amount I like to highlight is just the amount overall of VA benefits coming into this county alone from the work we've done. And you see from 23 to 24 the amount of increase that we've provided in veterans benefits. Now that's not college benefits, that's not anything other than disability payments or pension payments to veterans and or their dependents. A little less than $35 million is a lot of money coming into the county. So I think you get a huge return of investment in what's given to our office as far as resources and the people that are doing the work. And there's another one in here that shows you the amount of, let's see if I can find it quickly. I think it's down here.
Here for the claims award page,
Yeah,
you gotta go up.
there it is right here. The last one I showed you, I apologize, the last one was relief stuff. But this is the money from VA that is given to veterans for disability and compensation. Little less than $38 million. So there's just me and 4 employees, a reception person, and 3 other veteran service officers that assist with filing claims. If you've heard in the news or on the internet, if you have social media, you may or may not see the advertisements for all kinds of agencies or people trying to help file claims. The downside of those people are they're looking to get paid to help a veteran. We don't get paid except for our job by the county. And there's legislation trying to award these folks to help veterans file claims. By the Office of General Counsel, no one can help a veteran file an initial claim and get paid for it. So just as I spoke earlier, if you're in Vietnam, it's a presumptive that if you were in Vietnam and you have one of the 16 diseases or disabilities, that you get compensation automatically. That's an initial claim if it's never been filed before. These, what we call claim sharks, they file for an initial claim and currently they don't get paid for that. They can get paid for if it's on an appeal through the Board of Appeals or the Court of Appeals, which we at my office are authorized and accredited to present as well. And again, still don't get paid anything from the veterans' money. These claim sharks can get up to 5 times the amount of someone's retro or 5 times their monthly increase. So if they get a $1,000 increase, they get $5,000. There's also legislation that will seek to allow anybody who wants to help a veteran get paid for their initial claim up to $12,000. And right now there's a training to get accredited, like we go annually to keep our accreditation through the OGC, and this legislation that's being presented will allow anybody to basically help a veteran, training or not. They just present some documents to the VA and they get blessed with an accreditation number and they can file for anything and get paid for it. So we're working with a local member of Congress who presented this bill to try and rectify this. So we hope to get that rectified. You probably heard about the state's recalculation of taking some money from counties, from grants. They took about 60% of our grant. This year we were approved for about 107,000 and they knocked us down to 69,000. And so
What is that grant for?
so the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, it's called the County Veteran Service Fund, and there's 2 avenues until 26 it changes of outreach and advocacy of a County Veterans Affairs office. It's $50,000 at a base, so all you got to do is apply and you automatically get the $50,000. Then the extra is per capita of veterans in your county. If there's rollover money, that's how you get more, even more in the per capita. Because instead of saying, $100 per capita, it might be $1,000 per capita. So the most we've ever gotten was 120, goes down to 74 2 years ago. Last year it was 104. This year 107, knocked down to 69,000. So we've been working with MAC legislation to hold MVAA responsible and help pay back counties for what they have done. Like here in Grand Traverse, I had legally signed documents for stuff and had to go to vendors and say, will you let me out of the contract? Some let me out. So we were able to get it to the amount that they awarded. So it's been a battle. And MVAA is saying that if, and I apologize, I don't remember what House bill it is. I think it's 533 or 534. But MVAA is already saying that they'll use it as a supplemental bill, and that instead of being done in September, they will extend it till December. And that you have to apply for the money, even though it was already given and agreed and signed back in July of last year. So it's an ongoing battle lately. And me as the president of the state association, I'm in the midst of it all. So we've testified twice in front of committees to get this fixed. So.
Any more questions for Ms. Rowe? Commissioner Andrews?
Yeah, couple questions. It looks like one of the big spending line items for 2025 is the dental clinic.
Yeah, so, yeah, United
So-
Way, United Way Smiles.
So I didn't see any discussion about that. It's a big investment by your office. Can you tell us a little more how that's going and where things are at and participation?
Sure. So when this started the year before, we were given $6,000 a month to them. My committee and the board voted to move it to $12,000, and it's been going great. I wish that I would have remembered to print out an update from Jennifer Kearns over there, who told me the number of people that are coming through and the impact it's had, but unfortunately I did not bring that with me. But they serve about 88 veterans a year through this dental clinic. And actually, this is where some of this money doesn't fund, because I remember, I think you were one of the people said, is this enough? Is the $12,000 enough when you guys voted? She sent me an email on Monday and said, we have a veteran who it's going to be about $6,500 to repair some bone and grafts and stuff to get his mouth ready for dental work, because he is low income and he was afraid that he couldn't afford the work, even though they're doing it. He on his own pulled out his teeth to get ready for dentures. And so it ruined some of the base structure of his bone. So they need to go in and have an oral surgeon fix it, and they don't have funds to do that. And they reached out to me, and I think through another organization, we're going to help get it paid. But it just goes to show that the $12,000 goes towards like the dentistry, the supplies, the stuff they're doing every day, and the amount of extra isn't always there. So, but it's going well.
So I understand, going back to there was a slide where it shows that the county is obligated to have a millage in place that supports Veterans Affairs in order to support the relief for veterans. But our county has a millage that's substantially higher than the bare minimum that the state requires. Is that a fair summary?
I think so, yes.
And from my understanding, based on, it looks like the millage income is about $800,000 more or less a year.
Correct.
How is that funding, where does that fit into, clearly when the relief was about $30,000, that's a fraction of the $800,000. What is the millage funding at Veterans Affairs? Is that staff? Is that the United Way? Do you have a fund balance? There's the question. Is there a fund balance with those millage dollars sitting there that are to help our veterans? And if there is, what's the strategy to spend it?
All good questions, and I have all good answers for them, hopefully. So yes, I can tell you that when you look at our millage, the The millage language is for veteran services, where I've had this discussion with other counties. Theirs are very, very restrictive, where they can only use it for certain things, like veterans relief, and then the county pays their staff and benefits. Here in this county, that millage pays for anything and everything throughout our office. It goes towards staff benefits, office supplies, everything. Everything is paid through that, nothing through the general fund. Is there a fund balance? Yes. I'd have to look at, I haven't looked at it recently, but that was one of the reasons we looked at stuff. I looked with Mr. Bott and talked about the United Way payments because we had a fund balance, and again, if I had to guess, I think it's somewhere around 550. And it's not included in this report, but every year there's money taken out. There was a former board commissioner who wanted us to lower our amount, and that's what we had done. We took about 70 to 100,000 out of our fund balance to put into our current balance or our current budget to fund to lower that balance. So that was something that was worked on, and I think last year, 70,000 was taken out to go into the current budget. The year before, I think it was 110. And I honestly don't know how Dean comes up with the calculations of how much, but we are using money every year out of the fund balance for that to use the current budget. Did I miss any of your questions? You had a couple of them.
I'm not following, I wasn't following what the fund balance is used for for what in the next year? What are you saying?
So when Commissioner LaPointe was here, he noticed we had a fund balance. Again, it's not a secret. At that time, it was like, I think around $700,000, and he thought it was too much. So we worked on a strategy to, when we get our money every year, what we do for budget, we take money out of the fund balance and put it into the current budget to help fund our services. So we pull it out of fund balance, move it forward into the current budget to help pay for things. And one example is the United Way dental program. So we're really paying for that out of some of the fund balance that is brought forward at the tune of, $12,000 a month. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so there's a policy that was set up, or, I'm just thinking like Commission on Aging has a similar scenario, but we have a fund balance policy that we follow related to, keeping it a certain percentage and where it goes. And,
There's not.
Okay.
I was just going to suggest that perhaps a written policy would make it more clear for people that are wondering why there's a fund balance and, we're paying more taxes, but there's already a pile of money there. The county board has a fund balance policy for the county as a whole and a lot of agencies too. It's a good idea for transparency and to help people not, be so critical of, that why do you got all that money there and you want more taxes kind of a thing. So, and it brings stability over time. If the millage was not renewed for some reason, you would have a bridge to either find a different funding source by having that fund balance or, wind down slowly versus cutting people off instantly.
Right, yeah. Absolutely, I totally agree to that point. It's just something we haven't came to before with our stuff, honestly. So it's something we can look at, and if I get to work with Nate or Chris or something to put something together in my committee, absolutely. Just something that hasn't come to us before. And as you might remember, some of you on the board were here, we worked to lower the millage back in like 19 or 20 because we said we're getting too much money, we're keeping this fund balance. So we lowered it, and then it came back in property taxes, and it's gotten a little crazy again. So we're trying to spend it on things that are helping veterans. We actually had a meeting last month with Habitat for Humanity, working with them for veteran-specific builds. So it's another thing in process to look at. So thanks for that idea.
So I'll just echo that because Veterans Affairs is a tax-funded organization, it would be great if the annual report included even a high-level summary of where people's taxes are going when it comes to veteran services. I think clearly that's something our community supports, but I think the corresponding side is just to see that information in an annual way. I think it helps improve transparency in general. One additional question, which is when this board voted to approve funding to support Safe Harbor for 2 years, we intentionally added a request that Safe Harbor report on, among other things, veterans who are coming through their doors. What is the opportunity for our Veterans Affairs Office to engage with Safe Harbor in that regard? And specifically, we understand that it's not an easy conversation to have with people who are guests at Safe Harbor. Are you a veteran? Are you getting benefits? Do you have options? Those are personal questions that don't come up. But I would imagine your office is pretty skilled at those conversations.
So I can tell you that those conversations have already been had probably a little over a year ago, because my ex-wife used to work there, and she knew about my job, and I went in and she requested, hey, come in and talk to staff and see how we can set it up. So they already do ask those at intake about being a veteran and connected with our office. So we were offered like not an office space, but table space to come in and meet with people if they need. What we did is we actually started a lunch specific for veterans where we'd go there once a week and meet with people. Unfortunately, that idea did not seem fruitful, because we were meeting with the same 3 veterans with less than honorable discharges who weren't able to get any benefits. And we kept it going for a little bit longer, and we stopped it. And we told the staff there, if there's veterans, have your person reach out to our office so we can come meet with them at the shelter or our office or wherever, so we can be in contact with people. So might be a revisit now that they're going to be open more.
Yeah. Or maybe it's lunch for everyone to find the veterans that are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to encourage that conversation to keep going.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Roof? Thank you for your presentation today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
for
for all
your
you do, Mike.
service and the work you guys are doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have a resolution of support? I thought there was something at the,
Was there at the end?
Yes.
there is
I
a
believe there
resolution.
There is.
And I will make the motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
Second. I'll give it to him.
All right, so we're going to do
Supported unanimously.
supported unanimously. There you go. I like that.
Commissioner Morris supported.
Penny was, I heard Penny
Yes.
first.
Motion by Commissioner Andrews, support by Commissioner Morris to approve as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving on to B, MS4, or the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Program.
Yes. So I've got this item, and I think it was Commissioner Walter who mentioned acronyms. So this right here is probably like the ultimate agenda report with acronyms.
I agree.
And I forgot one. Well, actually, no, I didn't. I just ran out of space, so I did not give you EAGLE, what EAGLE stands for, but I think we all know that. So I just want to first acknowledge a couple people. Andy Smith, Drain Commissioner, he's here in the audience today. Andy has been a critical resource in helping all of us guide through something that's new to this community, which is the MS4 program. And we also invited Matt Anderson. Matt is an environmental quality analyst with EAGLE, and Matt's been great to talk with and is a resource and help to answer any questions you may have in general. But just a quick, just try to make this as brief as possible. So what makes an organization MS4 is infrastructure that has source pollution from stormwater that ultimately gets in the sewer system. So what makes the county MS4 are 3 buildings in the city. This building, the Law Enforcement Center on Woodmere, and then the Civic Center. The rest of our infrastructure portfolio is either not within what's called the urbanized areas, so those areas that fall under the MS4 program, or they're just not, there's no connection to existing sewer infrastructure. So typically, the general rule is you meet the definition of MS4, you have to go through this NPDES permit application process. But fortunately, the rules allow nesting, which is if you're an organization like us, limited infrastructure, you can work together with another MS4 organization. So in this case, the city. So the city's infrastructure needs are way beyond what we have. And so that is what's being proposed to you today, is this opportunity to nest or work with the city to submit the county's portion of MS4 under the city's application, which has to be filed by the end of August. So the city, I just got confirmation from the city engineer that the city commission authorized the engagement of Spicer Group to help them lead through the application process. And that selection of Spicer Group was, again, led by Andy Smits, the drain commissioner, through a request for qualifications process. I was part of that review committee together with the city engineer, Ann Pagano, and then Noah Carberg also participated in that. So that's trying to explain a complex acronym-filled program as simply as possible, but I'm more than happy to try to answer any questions you have about MS4.
Mr. Walter?
I've got a question about MS4, municipal separate storm sewer system for, for the people. So I understand that it covers the buildings that then have stormwater runoff into the city sewer system. Tell me about how, so the county roads don't count?
No.
Or it's a separate, can you?
Yeah, great
just
question. So-
Clarification there?
So I said buildings, it's actually much broader than that. It's any public infrastructure. So the county road commission, the county roads, yes.
But they're doing a separate application?
Yeah, the limited information I have about the road commission is that they would like to just file their own application, and they're going through a process of engaging a consultant to help them through that.
I was at the last meeting where they passed a motion to authorize Dan Watkins to negotiate with 2 different entities to pursue
Okay,
to
so-
work separately.
Other than that, there's no other piece of the county that needs to be covered?
No, there are, like, ISD, go for it.
Yeah, sure. No, great question. So the other public entities would be TCAPS, so school
Oh,
district.
I mean, like, that are county-controlled?
That are county-owned, operated? No, at this
Okay.
point, we've identified 3 sites that meet the MS4 definition. We actually looked at Medalley Park as potentially MS4. We had a great conversation, John Chase and I had a great conversation with Matt Anderson. At this point in time, that is not a MS4 property, but we're going to continue to look at it, monitor it, but for purposes of getting our initial application in with the city, we're just focused on the 3 facilities located within the city's limits.
And that's, if you said a civic center, boardman, and law enforcement?
Law enforcement center.
I have a question. Because those 3 facilities within the city limits appear to be a teensy fraction of the city limits, does that mean our share of the $48,000 will be a teensy fraction of the 48,000?
It's a great question. I was hoping to get that answer to you today. I just don't have that information. There is a meeting set up with the Spicer Group on June 9th. So the best I could tell you is that we're highly confident it's going to be under 25,000.
Sorry.
Wait, that's more than half.
No, highly confident that it's going to be substantially less than 25,000. I just can't tell you, is it 5,000, is it 6,000?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you say in here, county will pay its proportional share, estimated to be less than.
Yes,
And
less than.
and my question is, are you going to bring that to us for approval, or is that within your authority?
That's within the administrator's authority.
That's what Chris
I
was
think,
getting to.
I think I would like for us to see that
Dollar figure.
dollar figure. I think, and I'll make the motion that you bring that forward to the board for approval when that's negotiated.
I do want to just mention the unknown, and that is what happens after August 29th. So Spicer Group's scope of service with the city, they prepare the application, get that filed. Then after August 29th, then we're into compliance reporting. So I just bring that to your attention right now, but also tell you, there's just a lot of unknown here. This is a new program for all of us, and I can't really comment beyond that.
And I appreciate that, although we are the one of thousands upon thousands of entities doing this. It's new to us, it's not a new program, and I want to ensure that we are being as efficient as possible with our resources in this and not overspending. And because Spicer is a 48,000, it's a pretty small contract to get through August 29th. The real work will then begin. And what I want to ensure is that we are open going forward to doing this well, and just keeping some vision on it from the board level, because, yeah, MS4 is a perpetual project.
Yes.
That's one way to put it.
So I made the motion that you bring back the final proposal for board review.
And just a clarification, Liz Vogel, the city manager, asked that there is board authorization to nest, so can I get that
Yes.
motion as well?
Yes, I made one, but I can change it that we will nest. The motion is the county will nest under the city's NIPDs, and we will see a proposal for the spending forthwith.
Second.
Is that clear? Is that helpful?
Yes, it is.
Bonnie, did you get
No,
all that?
This discussion.
Well, I want to make sure she has the motion correct.
So-
She has to read it back.
Since it got changed. Motion was to authorize county to nest under the city of Traverse City's application as required under the MS4 program and see a proposal for spending forthwith.
Administration shall bring back the spending proposal.
Commissioner
Yeah,
Nelson.
So I'm sorry, the city engineer must be watching this, so she just texted me some comments. So,
Then you have to make it public.
so yeah, she reminded me, and I forgot about this. Yes, we're going to have a cost-sharing intergovernmental agreement, so it's going to have to come back to the board anyway. So, yeah, we will continue to work together with city staff to develop that agreement, and yes, not a problem. We will get that back on a board agenda.
Commissioner Nelson.
That's kind of in line with what I was going to say. I'm not sure that we need to include it in this motion. It's under the spending limit. I think we trust our team to handle this. If there's something further that's codified, then it comes back in front of this board for a signature. So I don't know why we need to include the under the $25,000. I don't think it's necessary.
Well, because it's part of
Hold
the
on.
intergovernmental
One person
agreement.
at a time, please.
Yeah, it'll come back in that way, but I don't think it needs to be included in this motion.
Commissioner Walter.
Well, it's part of the intergovernmental agreement. My question to administration is, does this slow down the process at all? Are we fine with the time frame and all that? Okay.
To Commissioner Nelson's point, the motion that, the information that was presented was it read to me as an up to 25,000, and that's why I wanted to ensure that. And it seems like if we're having a cost-sharing agreement coming forward anyway, that's built in both ways. We'll see have to approve that.
Yeah, as it stands, from what Mr. Forsythe has stated, it's in the motion, it's fine, because it's going to come back anyway. And personally, I'd like to see the dollar amount, and just have to approve it. But if it's going to be an intergovernmental agreement with the city, we have to approve it, so it's kind of moot. But there is a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Andrews, seconded by Commissioner Seifert. All those in favor? First off, any more comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Forsythe. Moving right along. Civic Center irrigation system replacement. There you are, Mr. Chase.
Speaking of stormwater runoff.
Correct. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for waiting.
Oh, absolutely. John Chase, Parks and Facilities Director for Grand Traverse County. So the item before you is to replace the irrigation system that has been in the ground since 1975 at the Civic Center. That system has lived well beyond its useful life. We are looking at a complete replacement of the system that'll have more effective coverage. It'll have expanded coverage touching the north and south ends of the park as well, and also have hydrometers that will help sense water and overall be a more efficient system in terms of its use. The current system, as I mentioned, has been in the ground since 1975, has leaks. We regularly spring those leaks and have to repair those leaks. We've got several broken heads on the system just due to their age, and it is increasingly difficult to find parts for an old hydraulic system. So the amount that's budgeted for this is $600,000 in our capital improvement plan for the year, and a total bid for this from Traverse Outdoor, and Adam Root here from Traverse Outdoor in case we have any questions, is $552,501, so $47,499 under the budgeted amount.
This covers the whole park, right?
It does cover the whole park, yes.
Any questions for Director Chase? Commissioner Henschel, excuse me.
Well, first of all, I'd like to move to approve as presented.
Second.
Beautiful.
And then as discussion, I just want to share, I actually had Traverse Outdoor install a system in our store, and this was back in 2018, I think. It detects rain, so you're not wasting water. Well, you're not sprinkling something that's already wet, things like that. So from the 1970s version to now, saves water, saves energy, is efficient. It's a big bite, all at once, but over time it'll pay for itself.
So I'm going to piggyback on that. I'll get to you. So is there a way that you could tell the difference in energy usage between the old system and once the new system is up and running?
So I did ask Adam about that. It is a calculation that could be made, although a difficult calculation to be made.
Okay. It's like in a year down the road, maybe, if you think of it.
Is it separately
Yeah.
metered?
Pardon me?
Is it separately metered,
It
the
is,
water?
yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. I'll also just testify that for maintenance, Traverse Outdoors, extremely reasonable pricing, and it's a no-brainer for my small business. Like, they just fix it, and it's done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Commissioner Nelson.
I will agree, Traverse Outdoor Maintenance is an excellent company, worked with them in the past, and they do good work. The reason I want to say something is, I looked at the bids are almost 20% difference between Mark Dutton, who I'm not familiar with, that's not good or bad, but I happened to be talking to Bobby Poplinski yesterday, our owner's rep, Cunningham Limp, and I asked him about this, and he said he could, with a 2-week turnaround, we're already engaged in their services, he would be able to look at this from an engineering standpoint and go through it, see if there's any questions or any cost savings. So I'm wondering if this board would be willing to delay this for that 2-week time and have Cunningham Limp give it a look-see. And I'm sorry to spring this on you at the meeting today, Mr. Chase. It's not against your work. It's just we have them engaged, and I wondered if it's worth a look at, because this is a lot of money,
Commissioner Nelson, sorry.
Commissioner Walter, you had your hand up before?
Yeah, this is city water, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so, I know we're mostly watering the ball field, so we gotta keep them nice and green and,
That's part of it, yeah.
yeah. It's unfortunate the way it's set up, and it's just how it is, but, we filter all this water for drinking water, and then we are just sprinkling lawns with it. I mean, the whole system to me is really hard to swallow. It's not hard to swallow, it's wonderful water.
It's a lot
It
of
just
water.
doesn't-
That'd be a lot of water, though.
It's just, I wish we could cycle this water in a different way and not be filtering it through the wastewater treatment facility and then the city water system.
So,
It just, what's that? It just
I'm gonna
is such an inefficient use of irrigation water. So it's hard to swallow this amount of money for a very imperfect system.
so I'm going to cut Administrator Eldrer off to piggyback onto Commissioner Nelson and Commissioner Walter's thing. Why aren't we using a well? And perhaps
They're
maybe,
illegal in the city.
I believe you can use a well in the city for irrigation purposes. I believe it's allowed, and we're the government, it doesn't matter. So, well, the reality of it is, it doesn't. So when we're talking about, hold on, let me finish. So when we talk about Cunningham Limp doing a system analysis of that, why wouldn't we also include into that, look at the legalities and putting in a well? Because I know that drinkable water that's been treated by the city and its availability and use has come into question, and it's created problems. And there's a limit to how much water they can have. And so how much water are we using to green a lawn on our section of park? I'm all about having a sprinkler system in it, but I think that probably be responsible to our neighbors and our partners. Maybe we should look at putting a well in, or at least get a price on it, and to do that.
So the reason, the city doesn't generally allow wells in the city, and the reason for that is because then that water is not of the same quality, and then it gets circulated back into the system as opposed to city water. And also, this is a park where people drink water, and there's a public, the Eagle generally doesn't allow you to sprinkle, you know, to have potable places or non-potable water in a place where people are drinking water. So there are public health implications. I will say all that. I'm happy to explore it. I think it doesn't matter what the source of the water that we're sprinkling is. We still need a sprinkler system that works to sprinkle it. So to the point that yes, happy to have our Parks Department explore alternative sources, if that's even an option, and what it looks like. But in the meanwhile, we need a system that sprays it over the fields efficiently, hopefully recaptures as much of it as possible, the least amount of runoff, to your point of efficiency. All fantastic ideas. Let's not drain it into the city storm sewers, speaking of MS4. Right. That's an easy one, right, to capture and make sure we're using. I appreciate that Cunningham Limp maybe have been able to provide the service, but we had a bidding process. It went through the public, and my preference is that we move forward with the bid that's in front of us.
And to that point as well, we had a design plan that was drawn up by Site One. So they are experts at creating those kinds of design plans to figure out where to put heads and where to run lines in as efficient manner as possible.
Any more questions? Mr. Elger, I apologize.
No, I was just going to inquire from Commissioner Nelson if Mr. Poplinski was acting as an owner's rep at the time, because I am a little concerned about scope creep. That would certainly be outside the scope of the current engagement, and we may have to engage him in some other capacity to do that. Now, if they were looking to do it free of charge, maybe that's a different story.
It was in passing conversation. I bumped into him and was asking about that, and he said, absolutely, that is within our area of expertise. We could look at it more from the layout and give it that was we're not allowed to talk about wells versus not wells, any of that kind of thing. It's that we need to sprinkle it. I understand that. He just wanted to, he offered that they could give it an overview of the layout and see if there's any efficiencies that they could add to this.
Fair enough.
It was more in passing, and I thought, you know, with this amount of money, it might be worth a 2-week delay. I understand the processing, and I'm not familiar with the other engineering that was done to look at it, and maybe, but again, I kind of wanted to keep it away from this board. We're up here talking about stuff we don't really know about. Keeping it in the hands of the experts is my intent.
Fair enough.
All right, we have a
I just have one more question, which is, if we were to go to maybe a well or a recycling, right, of existing water that's being used, gray water, however you want to put it, would an underground drip system eliminate public health concerns associated with it? And off the top of it seems like you could avoid that, right? Or you could sort of mitigate the public health impacts by ensuring the water never sees the air. Is that, I assume, astronomically more expensive? And this might be a question for outdoor. I don't.
Is that something you're
if
familiar
there's a
with?
great way for $500,000 to have an underground system or a drip system, or are we just talking like orders of magnitude?
Sorry, you got to
cost-wise?
come up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Tell us who you
I
are.
know you don't want to.
I'll invite Adam up for that.
I mean, I
He's
think
much
the
more
point
qualified to answer that question.
Commissioner Walter makes, and Nelson, it's a huge amount of money, and
Yeah.
you know, it does give pause.
Yeah, and I would say some of those questions maybe out of my technical side, and we can take back to my team. On the drip question specifically, an underground drip application would be inappropriate for the type of turf and fields that we're looking at. It's truly an overhead irrigation that would need to go. So that version of it would not be appropriate for the plan that we're looking at right now.
What was your name?
Adam Root, Travers Outdoor,
Spell your last name.
ROOT.
Kind of an appropriate name.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Okay,
You were meant to be in irrigation.
there we go.
Any other questions?
Mr.
Comments?
Chase, I'm sorry, I'm not getting to the dates I'm trying to look at here, but what's the installation timeline like for this project, and do we have any more time to explore any other ideas?
Sure. So we would be doing, starting the installation in bits and pieces as available this summer. And a majority of that installation would happen in the fall once ball field season is done. And just for other reference as well, this covers more than the ball fields. So ball fields are, of course, a large part of that property, but it also covers the rest of the park.
Comments?
I just want to state, I am fully in favor of replacing a 1974, 75 system. I want to make that completely understood. This was a very good thing. We need it. So I was just hoping for a 2-week pause if my fellow commissioners would agree.
Yeah, I guess I'm interested in a pause too, just because I agree, we need the green ball fields, right? And to your point, there's other areas, but that's the main area that comes to mind for me that we really need to keep in good shape. I'm just interested in exploring, a couple other options, not necessarily a different company, but a different possibility of more efficient use and more environmentally friendly use of the water situation.
If I could suggest, perhaps we give that as an option to the administrator to look into it, and if he feels it merits taking a pause and having a second set of eyes look at the engineering of it, then he could do that automatically, or if he feels like we've got a good thing going, he can continue with it.
And I would accept that and from my position, but also maybe that we include that the award, the Travers Outdoor has been awarded the contract, and that we stick with that. We're not going back out for bid. We're not adding a new player here. We stick with Travers Outdoor, and then have the review if that's acceptable.
So I'm not in favor of delaying the sprayer, having heard that either way we do it, it's going to be spray. Exploring alternative water sources should be explored, but I think those can happen in parallel. I don't think there's any reason to delay moving forward with Travers Outdoors on the proposal in front of us, and then simultaneously explore, are there alternative source options, whether it's some gray water, whether it's some well or other options, given the volume, I assume a large volume of water that we're also paying the city a large amount of money for every single month.
Yeah.
How much we pay the city?
I don't have that number off the top of my head.
It's
Just as a
big.
user, I assume it's.
I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah. Mr. Alger, do you feel
They're
like you,
reasonable
with the
rates,
current
they're not-
motion, you have sufficient room to execute as the board's discussed, or do you need something more
Well,
specific?
I think the motion was to approve them
As presented, and it was
there was a
suggested
second.
to check with Cunningham Limp, and if you feel in your discretion that it merits a second set of eyes, then to go ahead and pursue that.
I got,
That wasn't an amendment to the
Right.
motion. That was just an informal request.
But you're suggesting
Just suggesting, to give the administrator that, or voice that leeway to the administrator that, technically, he can administer what we pass as long as he's within the scope of what we said.
Maybe we have a
So let's-
separate motion about
so
the
there you
water
go.
situation.
I'm comfortable with that. I mean,
okay, well, then let us take care of the motion that's on the floor. So all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Unanimous motion carries. Now, I'm going to make a motion that we direct the administrator to reach out to Cunningham Limp, and if it's in the purview of contract services already signed, that they look at efficiency as well as water sources that we use for irrigation at the Civic Center and any other parkland, including the exploration of gray water and creating our own well.
Second.
Yes.
But that's not within the scope of an existing contract that we have, so that's going to be a new contract.
Then he would bring that back and
But
we would
then if-
approve that contract. Let's just go with the motion that's on the floor. And then when he says no, then we'll do it all over again.
So if we're going to ask for an evaluation of alternative water sources for county parks, I would prefer that we do that through a bidding process and rather than tapping Cunningham Limb directly.
Yeah, they may not be at all in their wheelhouse, I don't know.
That's true, and that's why I asked if it's under the scope of the contract we have, and if it's not, they will say no, and then we will come back and then we will put it out for an RFP. But we already have somebody who's the owner's rep that's already working for us on multiple projects for the county. And if you're talking about, hey, in a couple of weeks, we want to start putting water in, and the most efficient way to do this is, hey, you're already under contract for us. If this is outside your wheelhouse, let us know, no harm, no foul, we'll do an RFP.
But we don't need them to tell us that. Our administration is telling us right now that it's outside our contract.
Yeah, this is not, to my understanding, that is not inside the scope of the agreement we have with Cunningham Limb. But
If I were them,
Yeah,
I'd come back with a proposal to
That's a
explore
mis-
this.
Yeah, the well is, I think, is a completely, I'd like to separate the well
Yeah.
from this. Maybe that discussion is something we have, and I don't know how that works. Again, at this table, we're discussing stuff we don't really have expertise in, but if you put in a city water system, how easy is it to switch to a well? If at a future date under separate, you decide that that's a good idea.
Well, and it
Yeah,
might not be a well, it just might be a way to recycle the water in a way. Maybe this is more of a, administration works with facilities on exploring that and finding a consultant. I feel like that's separate than having Cunningham
We
Limb.
kind of went way in the weeds, I think.
Yeah.
Got to get out of the weeds, we got to irrigate them.
I think what we're hearing is this board is interested in, that's
alternative.
a little more information about, are there ways we can cut down how much city water we apply at the field? You know, clean,
And that's-
ultra chlorinated city drinking water to spray fields.
And I believe that's separate
What can we
than
do
this discussion.
to improve on that?
And that's something that we can look into is what options are available.
And
I
let's
don't
also
know.
be clear, MS4 is going to require us to do that to the extent there's any trickling into any drain that goes out of that system. So now is an excellent time. They could get credit for doing that in the first round of implementation. So that would be great.
Clear as mud. Thanks, John.
Clear as mud.
Any more comments on that?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, there is a motion on the floor. Would you like to clear the floor?
Well, it was never seconded, so.
I seconded it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And we'll clear the
I
floor.
move we clear the floor.
Oh,
Yeah. We have to
Rob,
vote on
I
that.
can only get beat up
Yeah.
so much by the.
It's a regular
majority,
motion.
So many
I'll
times in a
second
day.
it. I'll second the move to clear the floor.
All right. We need vote, roll call vote?
Just voice vote.
All right, all those in favor of clearing the floor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay.
Does that mean we
Thanks, guys, sorry.
so we passed the motion as presented, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
All right, 2025 tax rate request, Mr. Baker. I've seen him somewhere in there.
Good morning, Jim Baker, Director of Equalization. I prepared this and I sent it to Dean. Dean has checked this. And in my email communication, I always remind him that I don't put in columns 10 and 11. The financial officer and administration work on that. So I'm here to give you an overview that if we can avoid any elections this fall, which is highly likely, on millage, on county millage questions,
I think there will be some schools.
but I meant county millage. So I don't believe the county has any millage up for election this year, so this should be a one and done. This is for summer and winter both, is what I'm trying to say, instead of splitting them in two separate categories. So I'm hoping this is a one and done, and like I say, columns 10 and 11 were reviewed and prepared by Dean and Nate.
And what is in column 11 on the L4029 is what we are recommending that this board approve today.
And column 10 for the summer.
I'm sorry, column 10 and 11. but-
Yes.
Do you know what Dean estimated when he did revenue projections for 2025 in terms of these numbers? Is this what he anticipated to, do we have any idea? I mean, these are all reductions across the board, right, under Headley. And I just wonder, just from a forecasting perspective, how they line up with what our finance anticipated we would see for 2025.
The only comment Dean made about this, was we would this recommend 10 and 11, and also that this is relatively neutral for us.
Okay.
So we do expect to have a modest gain in overarching taxes for 2026. this will bear fruit as well.
That's what he seemed to voice to me also, is that the maximum amount allowable would be what would be required to move forward with.
Do we need to vote on this today, or can we wait for Dean to weigh in?
Sounds like we've got his
for
approval.
questions?
Yeah,
I'm fine with voting on it as presented. I'm just curious if it's in line with what he projected, and it sounds like if it's neutral, then he probably did.
yeah, Dean is supportive of this. It's his recommendation, and Jim is very good at what he does when it comes down to the formula applied to these reductions, and we're comfortable moving forward if you wish.
And this would be in preparation for the summer tax bill, which is coming up real quickly for the treasurers to implement.
Commissioner Nelson.
Move to approve the tax rate request 2025.
Second. A motion by Commissioner Nelson to approve the 2025 tax rate request as presented, seconded by Commissioner Seifert. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Matt's got his
Matt.
hand up.
What's
Oh,
up,
yeah,
Matt?
Roll call vote?
Roll call.
Roll call.
That's got to be a roll call vote,
Yeah,
because it's taxes?
Correct.
All right, Bonnie, you roll call vote for us, please? Commissioner Hensel, you just left me hanging.
So
What's
sorry.
up with that, man?
Morris,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Spence,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Henschel,
Yes.
Seifert.
Yes. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Okay, unfinished business 11A. We just put this on here. We were talking about this last week at the study session, I believe. We had talked at the end of last year, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Walter, that we were going to continue on with the salary committee about looking at rates of compensation for our staff. And is it, after that wonderful presentation by Ms. Kinsey in HR, I kind of added retention. I mean, people leave bosses not underpaying jobs, but money goes a long way to fix that. And so I want to put a committee together, an ad hoc, and start with that. I was on it initially. I'm not necessarily, I don't have to be on it. So I had to take volunteers, but I make a motion, we create a salary retention committee, ad hoc.
Support.
All right, so motion by Seifert and second by Commissioner Hensel, create an ad hoc. All those in favor say, any discussion?
Just might want to add who we want on the committee.
I will take volunteers. I mean, put 3 of us on there to go from there. Anybody want to volunteer?
I'll volunteer.
TJ?
I'll volunteer.
All right. Seeing that there's no other volunteers, Commissioner McAllister? We'll do that to you, Brian. Love you, bro. I will take the 3rd spot.
I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to be clear on what is the purpose for the ad hoc exactly?
To address the things that Ms. Kinsey had brought forward at the study session last week, one about compensation, the other one was about retention. We had a sheet demonstrated we have an excessively high turnover rate. And so we're going to be looking at the things that we can control about that to make that better. So we'll come back with a report. She's got a report that she's putting together with strategies. We asked her last week to do that, 2 weeks ago, last week.
You did?
We did.
To-
I did.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think we made a board motion to.
We did not. I just directed her.
Okay,
that we
I
would-
don't
in the
think
hopes
you're
that we
allowed
would
to
pass the-
direct her to do things. but-
Do an ad hoc, we can make a formal request if you like. But we have to make the ad hoc first.
Yeah, I'd like just a little, because this is very, very vague. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
the
agree.
ad hoc could be a standing, there's just so much. And I just want to make sure that the ad hoc is very clear on what it's expected to do and that it doesn't have authority over HR, right? So,
Absolutely not.
and neither do we. So directly, we can't
Not
tell her
directly.
specifically to do something. So I just want to be really clear as ad hoc gets together, what it is that they are doing. And is Donna a member? Is her team a part of it? Like, I just want to know a little bit more about what the goal is and what the specific output is of it.
Mr. Angel?
Yeah,
Sorry.
so just for dotting our i's and whatnot, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the motion on the floor to include the names of the volunteers for the committee, which was Commissioner Andrews, Seifert, and Flynn. And then I was the seconder, so if you're the mover, you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner.
And I think the charge of the committee is obvious, to meet with HR and research areas where we may be deficient in compensation, and research reasons for turnover in various areas of the county and report back to the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. That's concisely. Thank you very much. Mr. Alger, you were going to say something?
Yes, thank you. There was direction from this board. There was a motion, and it was approved in 2024 to create an ad hoc to review compensation for elected officials, certain department heads, and individual classifications. That ad hoc did fall away after the turn of the year. So when we met at agenda setting, we talked about a standing committee to address this. And I would logically think that the previous motion that was passed by the board, that would be the direction that this ad hoc would start with, is that elected offices, certain department heads, and staff compensation. During the agenda setting, it was noted that the retention is an issue, and I can tell you that it is an issue. Somebody 2 seats to my right will also tell you it's an issue, but we would appreciate some level of interaction about exploring different things that the employer can do to retain candidates once we hire.
So just additional context. I appreciate the context that last year we did create a salary review ad hoc to look at those entities, and then that board brought, or that committee brought forward to 8 of the 9 of us here, it was before Commissioner Fern was appointed, that because it was an ad hoc, it had to end at the end of the year. But in our resolution approving commissioner salary raises, we very specifically and intentionally recommended that we create a salary ad hoc in 2025 when we had a new board to do that as well for staff. And we were under the gun with commissioners because the statute required us to do that by the end of the term. And so we didn't have the time to put in to study the issue in more depth as it applied to management positions in particular, where union right has its own level of salary negotiation. So that was the intent that we put on the table last year. I wasn't at agenda setting this week, but my understanding is that there's been an idea. We asked ourselves, this board last year asked this board this year to please pick this ball up and move it forward. And I think that's what the goal is. And I think it's a fair question to be as specific as possible. Salaries, and retention is new, right? Retention is responsive to last week's concern, but they seem to go together. And I would want HR's participation. I would want them to be at the table. But what that looks like, I think we'll figure out. But the concept is to make sure, is there more we can do? Or are we doing what we need to do with respect to salary and retention, in particular with respect to non-salary?
And for the record,
non-union.
HR was a participant in the last ad hoc as well.
As was Mr. Nordford.
Yep, and Dean.
And Dean, yes, and Dean.
Would you like to be on it? Do you want the seat?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I just want to be really clear, because this is, sometimes I think, okay, is this our job, or do we need to direct HR to come to us with a plan, or direct administration to work with HR on a retention plan? Like, is this a commissioner job, or is a commissioner job to explore the elected official salaries that we just talked about before? You know, what are we triaging here? These are big, like, this committee could spend all day on this stuff, and we're not the HR department.
I think that's fair, and I think it's both. I think HR doesn't mind having some board insight in when they are talking about maybe giving raises or equalizing salaries or looking at other compensation benefits and options. And also, I think this board wouldn't want to do that without HR. So the ad hoc and it's public, so it's a way to maybe do that, to me, in my mind.
Well, and I agree with you, Commissioner Walters. It's like, it could be a big slice, and it's like, we don't want to be micromanaging at all, and that's a fine line that you're going to watch. It's like, hey, we're responsible for spending tax dollars. That's our job. Having said that, we want the best and the brightest, and we want people that are coming here to get the best efficiency that we can. Having said that, we're not here to micromanage either, and it's like, we don't know what we don't know, and it might be like, hey, we know now more than we did a couple weeks ago or last year, and we're like, yeah, that may not be our thing. But we don't know unless we don't ask. If we don't ask, excuse me. Commissioner Henschel.
I totally agree with Commissioner Walter on, we got to make sure our roles and, commissioners don't give orders to staff, but asking for information isn't giving orders. And I don't want to micromanage, but at the same time, I look at the opposite end of that spectrum, what's going on at Northern Lakes Community Mental Health right now is a result of that hands-off approach of, we only do policy, we never look at anything, and now they're in the paper day after day with all these problems, and,
Right behind
finally they're
us.
changing their structure to being more hands-on. So you're right, there's that line between micromanaging and ignoring what's going on.
And like the employee policy that we just had, that we voted on, I believe that any kind of employee, other policies that in their handbook and things like that require our approval to change, and maybe there's things that need some changing for that retention purposes. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. And I really share your trepidation that you could get lost in the weeds, and hopefully we won't. And we depend upon each other to keep us out of it. Quite frankly, that's why there's 9 of us. Looking at you, Commissioner Nelson.
There you go.
So we have a motion. Do we have a motion?
Yeah.
And we got a second even. So can I get by with a voice vote on that, Rob?
Yep.
That's awesome. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Thank you, everyone. So new business. I added something at the beginning. Approval back, Mental Health Crisis Center. I've been wanting to put this on. So I was at and Commissioner Henschel was there too, a human trafficking thing, I believe, where the Health Crisis Center had a couple people there. And they were talking about how many more people they're serving. Like it doubles like every 3 weeks, how many people they serve. And so I kind of would like to have them come here and give a report. I mean, we did give them $8 million, I think.
Five.
Well, they were more
But
than
they
that.
got another 5
Right.
from.
So, anyway, it's a substantial investment. I'd like to hear from them. And I'd also like to hear some of their plans about, we heard from Veterans Affairs today how the state said, hey, we're going to give you this. Oh, just kidding. You get 60 cents on the dollar. So I'd like to see some plans for continuity and sustainability as well. So I thought we'd make a formal request. So I'm going to make the motion, this board formally requests them end of third quarter.
Well, it sounds like, I thought Nate said they were already coming in August.
Yes, we had a leadership meeting yesterday. This very topic was discussed, and because we knew that our calendar for July would be a little hectic, Ms. Glenn said, how about the first meeting in August? They're willing to do that. This is front and center to them at the moment because, as you're aware, Northern Lakes CMH apparently is not going to be able to do some of the things that they are supposed to be doing within that agreement, and they are currently working with Representatives Roth and Kofia, and I think also Senator DeMoose, to get the $3 million that was appropriated to Northern Lakes to do the CRU, CSU, whatever that specifically was. They're working on that right now to have that money transferred to Munson Medical Center instead of Northern Lakes. I spoke with Rep. Roth yesterday, and he has a meeting with the fiscal agency on tomorrow morning to discuss that. They are willing and able to come and provide you an update in August. If you want it in July, I'm sure they can come in July. It was
No, can you go? I'm okay
I think
with
the
that.
regular time they were coming in early August, you said, is
That'd
fine.
be okay. I don't think we need a motion then if they're already coming, do we?
well.
Maybe.
It's a good idea.
It can't hurt.
Yeah.
Can't hurt, so we're gonna make that motion that they come in August, early August as scheduled, and when they come here, they'll give a report upon what they've accomplished and plans for sustainability and moving forward into the future.
Second.
Like,
Can they add to that the ARPA funding balance and make sure they address that as well?
There you go. I'll take that as a friendly amendment. You, Rob?
Yep.
Commissioner Henschel? Sweet.
Let's do it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. Thank you, everyone. We are going to go
Sounded
to,
like Nate maybe had something else to say, though, about that.
it's more of a report. I can
Okay.
wait, but it is specific to the Wellness Center. They are going to be open 24/7 on July 7th.
Oh, great.
Wow.
well, that's good, because it's right here in Department
Cherry
of
Festival,
Reports,
yeah.
man.
Ahead of my scale,
Yeah, that's right. Why we love you.
punching above my weight.
Always beat up, never down. So do we have any other department reports or commissioner reports? Commissioner Nelson?
Horse shows, Great Lakes Equestrian Festival and the different Traverse City horse shows is underway. And I want to know if there's any interest from this board or administration of having a visit out there. We go out and see the space?
I'm
Get a little
down.
bit of a tour?
I haven't been there in years. I love that place.
Yep, happy to show my support and
100%.
come out and see what's going on.
I'll work on getting something set up.
Thank you very much for that.
Thanks for hosting that in your
Buy a
district.
hat this time.
You're not going to buy a hat this
I'd love
time?
to take credit for all of it, but
Bought a hat last time. I think I've worn it once.
It's a big hat.
Impulse buy?
Is it a derby party hat?
I could wear it for a derby party.
Okay.
Fantastic.
You should wear it to commission meetings.
You should.
we'd have to put her at the end so that there's room.
Any more commissioner reports? No? County department reports?
Just that tonight's recess is at the Golf Center on Secor Road. So if you're interested in going out there, please do.
Fantastic. There's nothing else, no notices. Oh, second public comment? Anybody like to care to comment? Going once, going twice, 3 times? Thank you very much. Now we have to go into closed session. So make the motion that we go in closed session to discuss a written attorney-client privilege legal opinion from the county civil counsel as permitted by MCL 15268-1H.
Second.
Sweet. Roll call vote.
Who seconded? Thank you.
Rob did.
Nelson?
Rob?
No, no. I
Roll
was
call.
gonna-
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Present? Yes.
Spence?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Andrews?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Morris? Yes. Seifert?
Yes. All right, meet you back there in 5 minutes. In case anybody's got to go potty.
Mr. Chairman, I move we come back into open session.
Support. Sweet. Motion by Hensel, second by Nelson. Move back in. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Fantastic.
I'm sorry, I missed the second.
Nelson.
Nelson.
Commissioner Nelson.
Here.
Oh, thank you.
Present, yes.
Yes, yes, right?
What am I
Yeah.
supposed to say?
Would you like to, you're waiting for Bonnie to read the motion?
I don't have it. Do you email it?
I have it. Do you want me to read it and then?
Would you
Yeah.
please read it?
Certainly. The motion is to accept the retirement agreement and authorize the board chair to sign necessary documents consistent with the recommendation of the county's attorney as discussed in closed session following approval as to legal form.
So moved.
Second.
Sweet. Moved by Commissioner Nelson, seconded by Commissioner Henschel to approve as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Fantastic, thank you. So
There's a second motion?
there is a second motion. Did he send it to you?
He did.
Would you please read it?
Motion to appoint Mike Leahy as interim health officer for Grand Traverse County until a permanent health officer is appointed by the Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Sweet. Moved by Nelson, seconded by Andrews.
Can I make a brief comment?
Sure, go ahead.
Just that, I remember back in 2011 as a first-term commissioner, at the recommendation of then Administrator Dennis Aloya, was happy to vote to approve Wendy Hirschenberg as our health officer at that time. It's been good working with her, and I wish her all the best.
Well said. Any more comments?
Does there need to be a date effective with the interim, or is it just assumed that it's today?
It would be today.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. And we're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.